Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. So for today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the top 10 worst dolls of the year, at least according to me. This is something that I think is fun to do every year, where I do a top 10 of the year and then also a top 10 worst of the year. And I do like for my last video of the year to be like a top 10, just because I feel like it's good to end on a high note, right? So today we are going to be like pre-ending on a bit of a lower note, and I'm going to be talking about what I think are the absolute worst dolls of the year. Really quick, full disclosure, this is actually my second time filming this video because I filmed it once and all of the footage was violently out of focus to the point where you might as well have been staring at a black screen, and I didn't think that would be very entertaining for you. So if the vibes are a little bit off, it's because I'm repeating myself and like saying all of this for the second time. So like, I'm hoping that that won't affect the quality of the video or like the entertainment factor of the video. But if I seem a little weird, that's why. Also, I will be wearing the same outfit for 2 videos in a row now because I have to film 2 videos in a row now because I'm like running out of time, but that's okay. We're still going to have a fun time today. Of course, everything I say in this video is just going to be my opinion. So if you guys disagree with my top 10 worst dolls list, that's totally fine. It's not a big deal. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And as per usual, if you do find yourself enjoying the video, if you could give it a like, that's very helpful to me. If you're new here and you enjoy your time, definitely subscribe so you can see more. And then if you want to go out of your way to support me, I have links and PO box and stuff in the description down below. But with all that said, let's go ahead and start talking about some questionable dolls. Now, I will say the worst dolls list was a little bit hard for me to make just because I think, first of all, I felt very ambivalent about a lot of dolls this year. There were definitely many more dolls than are on this list that I didn't end up buying or even like was tempted to buy. But for the most part, I think those were dolls that I just didn't really feel anything about or didn't feel personally connected to. So it was harder to make a top 10 worst dolls list because I was really looking for dolls that I thought were actively bad in some way, and I just didn't feel that a lot this year. It's also difficult because I think a list like this would be really easy to just like populate with low quality Barbies and call it a day, but I didn't want to do that either, right? Like, for example, not that I'm saying all of the color reveal Barbies are terrible, but like a lot of them are not great. So it would have been really easy for me to just put several color reveal Barbies on this list and be like, okay, well, that's it. Like Barbie did a bad job with these, but that wouldn't be very fun or entertaining or thought-provoking or anything like that. So this list was just a little bit harder to make. With that being said, I'm going to be starting from number 10 because like we have to have some suspense here. And number 10 is Aiden from Rainbow High Series 5. I felt it was important to include all of like the little disclaimers because I don't think that he's a terrible doll. Like I don't think he is objectively like the lowest quality or like necessarily the absolute worst doll that was produced this year. I mean, he is number 10, not number 1. So there is that. But I do think that he deserved to just barely make it onto this list just because I don't feel like he was what people were expecting. I don't watch the Rainbow High show, but I know a lot of people do, obviously, and I feel like people were eagerly anticipating the release of Aiden in doll form, and he just didn't seem to live up to those expectations from what I saw online. And also, the way they did his hair was terrible and horrific, and I've talked about it a few times on this channel. So, not too bad, but bad enough to make it into the lowest spot on this list. Coming in at number 9 is going to be the Disney ILY Forever Aladdin doll. Much like Aiden, I don't think that this is like a terrible, hideous doll. Like it's not that feeling that I'm getting from him. I just think it wasn't the most exciting release. To be fair, personally, I've become a bit more distanced from Disney this year. I'm a lot less interested in them, so that's probably affecting my opinion. But the big thing for me was that all of the other Disney ILY dolls are like just random people Disney bounding as Disney characters, right? Whereas Aladdin, his doll, like he looks like Aladdin and he's also Disney bounding as Aladdin. And like, obviously you can Disney bound as a character that looks like you. I just think it made him stand out amongst the ILY dolls. And I'm not sure if I enjoyed that because it just felt like whoever designed him wasn't on the same page as all of the other designers conceptually, if that makes any sense. Obviously, I have absolutely no idea if that's true. Like they might have all been designed by the same person. So I'm not trying to like make a dig at a designer and like make any claims or anything like that. I just feel like because he looks so much like Aladdin dressed in Aladdin themed clothing, he stands apart from the other Disney ILY dolls. And for me, it's not in a positive way. So again, not horrific, not the worst doll ever, but I wasn't a super big fan. So he made his way onto this list. Coming in at number 8, we have the Monster High Skeletor, Chucky, and Tiffany dolls. To be fair, a lot of this is because that release was so bad. I still think it was probably one of the worst Monster High Collector releases that we have had. I also am just not a horror fan. I talk about that very often on this channel. I get scared very easily, so I can't really do horror movies, so I can't be a horror fan. So I didn't feel any like personal connection to the dolls. It's not like I liked the movies that they were from. And I do think that like the Chucky doll, for me at least, looked a little bit better. The Tiffany doll, I feel like her dress looked a little bit cheap, even just from photos. It just didn't seem super, super high quality to me. So all of that kind of bundled into one made me feel like they deserved a spot on this list. Coming in at number 7 is going to be realistically an entire line of dolls, and that is the Na 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 Fuzzy Reveal dolls. Now, I will say, I think most of these are really cute. I do actually have one, and I love it now that I'm done with the like revealing process. But I had to put this on the list, not for the design of the dolls, but for just how atrocious this gimmick was. I honestly was like kind of excited about the idea of a reveal gimmick just because I think if it was executed differently and executed better, the like peeling off could have been really satisfying. And I honestly also think it could have a real place for people who have like trichotillomania or dermatillomania to like, get that picking out. So I liked the concept a lot. And like, I thought the dolls were cute, but getting that covering off, like that fuzzy coating off, was an absolute nightmare. It took me over a day. My fingers literally hurt afterwards because it was so sharp to pick off and it was so painful. And it just genuinely was not an enjoyable process whatsoever. So it makes me sad to have to put them on this list because, like I said, I think the designs are quite cute, but the actual execution was just so bad. There's no way I could make this list and not have them on it. So I'm sorry, Na Na Na, but you're at number 7. Coming in at number 6, just barely missing the top 5 here, is Rainbow High's junior high versions of Holly and Laurel Devious. Now, these are technically 2 separate dolls, like they're not in a pack together, you have to buy them separately. So I guess I should have just picked one, but also they're the exact same doll, just different color schemes. So I feel pretty okay putting them both combined into this spot. And we are starting to get into the dolls that I really actively dislike. I just think these are ugly. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I just don't love them. I can't remember what video it was in, but there was a video where I said that I think it's weird because they look like they're wearing cocktail dresses, but they're supposed to be in middle school. And that's just like very dissonant in my mind. I don't necessarily think the dresses are terrible. I don't like the socks and the shoes that they chose. I don't think the dresses are terrible in like a different setting, but for middle schoolers, I just think it's a very strange choice. I don't think that it looks cohesive, and I don't like them, which is why they're on the list today. That brings us to the top 5, and I feel like I'm starting off with one that might be a tad bit controversial. Number 5 for me is going to be the Bratz Tweevils dolls. Now, I do understand these have like a place and a reason for existing. I understand that if you're a fan of the Bratz media, these were probably really cool to see get made into dolls. I'm just not that person, and I don't get it, because the whole point of the Tweevils is that they're supposed to be maybe a little bit of a dig at Barbie and much less like fashionable and less, I guess, enjoyable overall than the actual Bratz crew. So it's weird to me to turn them into like collector's fashion dolls. I don't know. I don't get it. Again, I understand why people would like them if they have like a connection to the like Bratz media, but since I don't, they're just ugly dolls and they had to be on the list. We are going to be following that up immediately with another controversial choice for number 4, and that is realistically the entirety of the Bratz and Kylie Jenner collab. If I had to pick like a least favorite, it's probably the 24-inch doll that's like the purple one with her Met Gala outfit. I think it was the Met Gala outfit. I guess if you want to talk about the doll itself, I just don't really vibe with the taller Bratz dolls. I find them a bit more uncanny than like the fashion doll size Bratz, and also they're way too big for my space. But beyond that, I said in another video, I just don't like Kylie Jenner, and this whole collab just makes me feel honestly a bit icky as a person. Like every time I see them in my Walmart, I'm like, okay. So I feel like I had to put this on there. Definitely not for like the same reasons. It's not really for design reasons like a lot of the other dolls on this list, but I just feel so dissatisfied with this collab even existing that I feel like I couldn't make my top 10 worst dolls list without pointing this out in some way. So they're sitting at number 4. That brings us into my personal top 3 worst dolls of the year. And I know I said at the beginning of this video that I didn't want to just like populate the entire list with cheap Barbies because that feels like a low blow and like too easy, I guess you would say. But there is going to be one Barbie on this list. And much like number 4, it's honestly kind of an entire line. It's the Barbie Extra Mini Minis. Now, I love miniature things, so I feel like you have to really mess up for me to not like them. I have one in mind in particular. I don't know if they have a name or a number, but I'll have the picture on here on screen for you guys so you know which one I'm talking about. I think in general, the Mini Minis have really uncanny faces and like they just look a little bit squished and uncomfortable to me. This one that I have on screen is definitely the worst example in my opinion. I just don't think that the printing on the face or like the mold of the face looks right. It just, I don't know, it's a little bit uncomfortable to me. And I just think the concept is so strange. And again, that's a weird thing to come from me as someone who loves miniatures. Like I love the Not Enough Surprise minis. I think those are absolutely precious. I just don't think that these are executed as well. I guess good for Barbie if they're selling well and like people enjoy them because cool, like happy for your success. But I don't get it. I think they're weird. And I feel like, again, it takes a lot for you to make me not like miniatures. So I feel like I'm justified in putting them at the number 3 spot. Number 2 is a very recent release, and that is, again, an entire line. There were like lines that disappointed me this year. It's the LOL OMG head swap line. I think my least favorite one is named Cora. I'll have, again, the picture on screen for you guys. I just don't love these dolls, and it's not the gimmick, genuinely. Like, I think there have been other head swap dolls in the past that have been totally fine. I think it can be a very interesting gimmick. But I just don't think it was executed well with LOL. I feel like each of the dolls that like comes with the full doll and then comes with the separate head, you can very clearly tell which head is like supposed to go on the body and the other one just looks a little bit awkward, at least in my opinion. And even aside from that, even if you just look at like the main head and like the main body, I feel like they look weird. I don't feel like the outfits are designed as well as a lot of other LOL dolls are. Like when LOL dolls are done well, they are some of the best dolls currently available, at least in my opinion, when it comes to like the design and like the uniqueness of the design and especially the quality. LOL has some really, really quality pieces, but I don't feel like these lived up to that. And I was just honestly really disappointed by this release. Again, it's totally like understandable if you like them and like it's okay if we disagree on this matter, but I was just really unimpressed, and so they made it to my number 2 spot. That brings us to number 1. Go ahead and pause here real quick because I want you guys to guess in the comments what my number 1 least favorite doll of the year is, because I'm very curious to see if any of you will manage to guess correctly. But anti-drum roll, please. It is going to be from quite early on in the year, the Cleo and Deuce Holiday Valentine's Pack. There's a lot wrong with this to me, and honestly, as time has gone on, I've only liked these dolls less and less. I will say I think the base dolls on both are totally fine. Deuce's outfit I don't think is the worst design-wise, except for those horrible shoes. But even just looking at the stock photos, it feels like his clothing would not be very high quality. And Cleo. I love Cleo, okay? I love Cleo in all generations. I just really enjoy her. I think her dolls are so beautiful and I enjoy so many of them. So it makes me more upset when a Cleo doll is ugly than like some other dolls. I love her base doll. I think the asymmetrical bangs is so fun for her and so interesting. And I even think that her face is pretty, but that dress haunts me. It's so bad. In general, I just think it's an ugly dress. And then to give it to Cleo, who definitely has better fashion sense than to wear something like that, makes me upset on a personal level. I'm just offended on her behalf. I just honestly can't think of another doll that would even come close to knocking this out of my top spot. Again, some of that is definitely personal because it does feel like a personal attack against Cleo to do this to her. But I just thought this was really bad, and this is definitely a set of dolls that comes to mind when I think of the worst dolls of the past year. And honestly, I think it's going to feel that way for a while. I think this is going to haunt me for a little bit longer than just this year, but I feel like they definitely earned the number 1 spot, sadly. But yeah, that is going to be my top 10 worst dolls of 2023. I definitely want to know what you guys think about my list, and if you agree with me or if you think I'm totally backwards and like these are your top 10. If that is the case, I am sorry. Like, I feel like if I have one or two on here that y'all like, that's not so bad, right? But if one of you guys is like, this is literally my top 10 list, and you're shitting on all of them, it's kind of funny, but also I'm very sorry. But yeah, I would just really be curious to see what you guys think of this. Definitely be ready in a couple days to see my top 10 dolls of the year, which is going to be a much more positive video. But even though this one wasn't positive, I hope it was at least entertaining for you guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.